Hey Andy, thank you for asking your question on mentoring men the other day. You asked specifically that, or you said, I love the idea and concept of taking your power back in the relationship, but how do I do that, or how do I implement that in my interactions with my wife? That's a great question, and I always am happy when our members talk to us about some of the stuff we say, because it helps us become more clear about the things we're talking about. And this idea of taking your power back, which is it's kind of a it's a truism, or it's one of the unique things that we kind of have in our glossary of men's work in some places. And a lot of times those things become kind of unhelpful because they're not very clear. So I want to talk about in this video, what does it mean to take your power back, and how do you effectively do it? And how does that change the interaction with your wife? Now, the reason I said that, Andy, is because you actually don't take power back in the interactions. You take power back outside of the interactions you have with other people. And because you're taking the power back in your life in those areas, it changes the nature of your interactions. You see, when you and I, or you and your wife, or my wife and I, when we're relating to each other, when we're interacting, there's a lot of complex things going on. And if I'm relating to my wife, and my wife holds the power over certain parts of my life, then that causes the nature of my interaction to be different. Maybe there's something I'd like to say, for example. Maybe I have an authentically held truth or conviction. Maybe I have an opinion. Maybe there's something that I just want to share that's authentic, right? Maybe that looks like me saying, I'm really disappointed about XYZ right now. I won't do those things. I'll stop being authentic. I'll hide my true self. And I'll become inauthentic to the degree that my wife holds the power over some parts of my life, right? So if my wife, for example, is the person that makes me feel whole, or makes me feel connected, or makes me feel accepted, then when I'm in any interaction, my brain is going to be very aware of that. It's going to basically sort of subconsciously be saying, hey, that's where we get well-being and connection and validation, so let's tread carefully here. And because of that, then when I'm going about my interaction with her, I'm going to be treading on eggshells. I'm going to be unwilling to be authentic, perhaps, because part of me will recognize, if I say that, then there's a chance that those things will stop coming my way. This is the problem with dependency in relationships, is dependency upon other people for areas of your wholeness fundamentally makes you compromise yourself. And in compromising yourself, you stop being authentic, you stop being true, you stop being a person of integrity, and you actually become untrustable, which is even worse because it's a lack of trust that actually destroys connection and intimacy. And so this is the real kick to the nuts in this whole thing, is a man wants connection, he wants intimacy, but because he believes his wife or partner holds all these aspects of his well-being, he compromises himself. He becomes inauthentic. He becomes controlling and manipulative and unwilling to state clearly what he believes or holds true. And the reason he's doing that is because he fears not getting these things. But it's that way of being that erodes trust. First, it erodes trust in himself, and then it erodes trust in his partner. And a partner that doesn't trust you because you don't trust you is not going to want to be intimate or connected with you. And so this becomes self-fulfilling in a long-term relationship like marriage. And so we don't take our power back during an interaction, because it's not during an interaction that we lose our power. We lose our power by living a lifestyle of believing that other people hold the keys to our well-being, that other people hold the keys to our sense of value, worth, significance, that other people hold the keys to our sense of feeling connected, that other people hold the keys to our happiness. You see, every single thing that we want, need, and desire, as a person to feel complete. And that's an important qualifier. Things to feel complete. If we take those things and we put them in the power of other people, we gave that power away. So taking your power back means identifying all these places in your life where you have asked, and it's not that you've literally asked, but where you have delegated or given the ownership of that part of your life to someone else. And that just means everywhere you're looking outside of yourself. In psychological terms, this is called an external locus of control. I think it's just easier to say dependency, right? If I have a dependency on my wife for XYZ, the way to take my power back is to identify, why did I give her that power in the first place? Why am I dependent on her? What is the disqualifying thing in me that I can't own it? Let's talk about, for example, respect. A lot of men believe it's their partner's job or responsibility to respect them. And a man that doesn't know how to respect himself, for example, looks for his partner to respect him. And if she won't respect him, he gets offended. He gets hurt. He feels entitled to something like respect, and he usually has a reason he believes he's worthy of respect in her eyes, but she doesn't appear to give it to him. And so that man will have an unpleasant level of emotions. He'll have this stewing energy in him that's irritated. It might be resentful or frustrated. And he believes the problem is that she's not giving him respect. But here's the thing. You can self-source respect. You don't need any other person to respect you, because respect is an inside game. It's not an outside game. It's an inside game. Now, if other people respect you and you want to make some sort of positive meaning out of that, great. But really, what sense does that make? There's 8 billion people on planet Earth. What are the rules for being respected by them? And what makes the respect of my wife better than the respect of a beggar on the corner or the president in the White House? What makes one person's respect better than another? Why do I need either? So is there something that happens to me? Will I perish if I don't have the respect of my wife or the president of the United States or the beggar in the street? No, I won't. It's not a need. I'll generally look for respect outside of myself to the degree I actually don't have self-respect. And so the more I build up my sense of self-respect, the more I am not dependent on the respect of others. And you see, that's taking power back. Now, if I have the power now over self-respect, then I'm in a relationship interaction, I don't have to look at taking the power back in the interaction. I'm simply a self-respecting man having a conversation with his partner, and that's going to come out naturally. If something happens in that conversation that seems to bristle with my self-respect, because I'm not worried about my partner losing respect for me, because I have it, now I'm free. I'm free to interact as myself, and I can stay within the confines of what does it mean and look like to be a self-respecting man, and just be myself. And so this is the process. It's doing this work outside of interactions. And that work is to identify all the places that you're not owning yourself and moving the ownership of those things into yourself. You might say, how? Now, this is, of course, the meat and potatoes of what we do in mentoring men, specifically in our journey to masculine greatness, as we teach men how their emotions are telling them where they lack ownership and self-reliance in their life. And this is a very reliable pattern in men. If you have a hard emotion, anger, resentment, fear, irritation, animosity, all of those emotions are telling you where you want something or need something or desire something, but you don't have the power over it. And so your emotion is generally directed at the person that you believe does have the power over it. And you're irritated that they're not wielding that power in a way that serves you. And so when you learn to use your emotions in this way to debug your lack of self-reliance or to show you where you have dependency, then you can work on the belief system that caused you to give that person that power, because it's your birthright to maintain these things about yourself. You were born actually as a self-respecting person, for example. You're born with a person who believes they have value and worth. You have to learn over time through, the learning process, through difficulty, through circumstances, through upbringing. We learn to give these things to other people in the forms of dependency. And that leads us to stay immature and emotionally more or less in bondage to how other people act towards us. And so the work then is to take all that back, bring it all inside, and it changes everything. It changes how a man feels about himself from the inside out. That's why we call what we do transformative mentoring. And when a man feels differently and knows himself to be differently, all of his interactions change, every one of them. And so then when he's having a conversation, and he's having that conversation as a secure, grounded, confident, and calm man, there's no part of him that is saying, I got to keep this person happy or they'll stop giving me the goods. And instead, he's at peace because he already knows himself to be whole. And so that's what it looks like to take your power back. I realize there's a lot to what I said. There's way more than I can unpack in one video. And as you know, this is what our community, a big part of what our community is about. And so, Andy, I would encourage you to ask follow-up questions on this video if it's posted here on Mentoring Men. If this is on YouTube or whatnot, and you want to post a comment, if you're not Andy and another listener, we'd invite you to do that. We'd love a thumbs up, subscribe. We'd love to meet you if we don't know you. If you're a man specifically intrigued by the stuff I just said, we'd invite you to not just to consider coming to our community, which is a robust community of mature men on a journey to live grounded, secure, and calm, masculine lives. It's an epic community of men all over the world. A wonderful place to be. And if that's not enough for you, we have an entire mentoring course dedicated to the things I'm talking about. I'd love to tell you about it if you want to know information, but I'd also love to get to know you and your story. And so you'll see below this video a link you can click on. You can set up a call with myself or one of the other co-founders or mentors, and we can hear what's going on in your life, learn your story, and get to know you a little bit. Again, I'm Sven Masterson, co-founder of Mentoring Men. Nice to be with you. Thanks for listening. Take care.